The slam of the door echoed like thunder, shaking her chest. Nia clutched her breath, her tears burning down her cocoa-brown cheeks. She whispered, "Why does he always leave me like this?" The silence cut deeper than the words ever could. Her nightmares had bled into reality, and the loneliness clawed at her ribs. Then came the knock, soft yet commanding, pulling her back from the pit. Malik's voice carried through, low and edged. "Open up, Nia." She froze, her heart hammering like fists on glass. The contract said no sleeping together, no comfort in the dark. But his tone made her ache, made her hope. She whispered to herself, "Stay strong." Yet when she turned the handle, her resolve cracked. His eyes met hers, espresso dark and burning, with something between anger and fear. She wanted to resist, but her body betrayed her, trembling at his nearness. He stepped inside, and the storm of her night shifted forever. Nia pulled back, her voice trembling as she said, "You shouldn't be here." Malik's jaw clenched, but his eyes betrayed his words. "You were crying," he replied. She hated how he saw her weakness, hated how his presence made her feel exposed. She wanted to scream, to throw him out, but her chest burned with something else, relief. The contract they signed was supposed to protect her heart, to keep boundaries clear. Yet the memory of his arms last winter, the warmth that drowned her nightmares, clung to her like smoke. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I can't hear you suffer like that, Nia." Her breath caught, the silence between them filled with the sound of rain against glass. She looked away, whispering, "It doesn't matter. It never mattered." But even she didn't believe the lie. The storm outside thrashed harder, echoing the war within her. Nia whispered, "Why do you always come when I'm weakest?" Malik exhaled, his tone low, "Because you're strongest then. You fight even your pain." His words cut her defenses, slicing open scars she'd buried. She wanted to shove him away, but her body leaned toward his warmth like a flame starved of air. She remembered the contract's ink, the cold rule of no sleeping together, no comfort. A safety net she thought would keep her sane. But now, staring at his dark eyes, she felt herself teeter at the edge of breaking every rule. She whispered, "We shouldn't." He moved closer, his breath brushing her skin. "Then tell me to leave. Touch your again." Her lips parted, but no words came. Nia turned away, pacing toward the window, her bare feet cold against the hardwood. "You don't get it," she muttered, her voice raw. Malik followed with slow steps, careful not to corner her. "Then help me understand," he said, his voice steady but aching. She gripped the curtain, staring at lightning, illuminating the city. Memories of abandonment, betrayal, nights alone tore through her chest. She wanted to tell him to go, but her body screamed for him to stay. "You're not supposed to care," she said bitterly. He stopped behind her, his shadow swallowing hers. "But I do," he replied simply. The weight of his confession wrapped around her like the storm itself, drowning her resistance. Her body sagged as if the fight drained out. Nia turned halfway, her eyes glassy but unyielding. "We agreed, no nights together, no crossing lines." Malik's expression softened, a flicker of pain cutting through his defiance. "I don't care about contracts tonight," he said, his voice trembling. She searched his face, terrified of the truth in his eyes. Her walls crumbled under the weight of his presence. The room filled with thunder, yet the loudest sound was her pulse in her ears. "Malik," she whispered, her voice breaking like glass. For the first time in months, she felt the terrifying pull of surrender. She wanted to run, yet her heart begged her to stay. The storm outside matched the storm within, unstoppable and consuming. Nia sat on the edge of the bed, her fingers knotted in the blanket, chest tight with memory. "I swore I'd never need anyone again," she whispered, staring at the floor. Malik leaned against the wall, his arms folded, his eyes searching hers. "Needing someone doesn't make you weak," he said quietly, his deep voice steady. She laughed bitterly, the sound hollow. "It broke me before. Do you know what it's like to watch someone walk away when they swore they'd never let go?" Malik's jaw clenched, pain flickering across his face, but he said nothing. Her heart twisted at the silence. "That's why I wrote that contract," Nia admitted, her voice low. "I had to protect myself." Malik shifted closer, his tone raw. "And who protects you when your walls crumble?" Her body stilled, as though the storm had finally cornered her. Nia rubbed her arms as if to shield herself from the weight of her own confession. Malik stepped closer, his shadow stretching over her. "Don't look at me like I'm fragile," she snapped, forcing her gaze upward. His lips tightened, but his voice softened. "I look at you like you're surviving." Her breath caught, the words settling into her chest like fire and ice. She wanted to dismiss them, to bury the sting of hope they brought. But her body betrayed her, leaning ever so slightly toward him. "You think survival is noble?" she said, her tone sharp but trembling. He nodded slowly, his jaw easing. "I think survival is strength." The storm outside pounded harder, mirroring the chaos within her ribcage. Nia turned away, clutching her knees to her chest, staring at the shadows dancing on the wall. "Love feels like drowning," she muttered. Malik moved to sit on the chair across from her, elbows on his knees. "Or maybe like learning to breathe again," he countered. She shook her head, her braids swaying, her eyes flashing. "Easy for you to say. You weren't left with pieces." His face hardened, his eyes dark with regret. "You think I don't know what it feels like to lose everything." The sharpness in his tone startled her. For the first time she saw cracks in his armor. Their silence stretched, filled with unsaid truths. She whispered finally, "Then why do you keep coming back?" He met her gaze with quiet fire. "Because I see you, Nia. Even when you hide." Her throat ached, and the storm's rhythm pounded in her ears. Nia whispered, "Every time I let someone close, I lose myself." Malik leaned forward, his voice low but cutting. "Maybe you're not losing yourself. Maybe you're finding the part you buried." She stared at him, startled by the truth in his words. Memories clawed at her, the betrayals, the nights she cried into a pillow alone. Anger swirled inside her, not at Malik but at the echo of her past. "Don't try to fix me," she snapped. Malik's gaze softened, almost breaking. "I don't want to fix you, Nia. I just don't want to watch you bleed alone." She turned her face away, the weight of his honesty pressing against her every defense. Nia's breathing slowed, the storm settling for a fleeting moment. She whispered, "You don't get it, Malik. If I let you in, I'll break." He leaned closer, voice barely audible. "Then let me break with you." Her chest tightened, a tear slipping before she could stop it. She clenched her fists, whispering, "You make it sound easy." Malik shook his head slowly, eyes burning. "It's not easy. It's real." Their gazes locked, a silence heavy with the kind of truth that no contract could bind. For the first time, she felt the possibility of love not as weakness, but as survival. It terrified her more than the storm ever could. The storm eased, but the silence between them thundered louder than rain. Nia crossed her arms tightly, as if holding her heart inside. "We keep dancing on the edge of a cliff," she said, voice sharp but trembling. Malik rose from the chair, every motion deliberate, as though he feared one wrong move might push them both into the abyss. "Maybe it's not a cliff," he murmured, his voice low, almost fragile. "Maybe it's a bridge." Nia laughed bitterly, the sound brittle and broken. "A bridge to what? More heartbreak? More nights I wake up shattered?" Malik's eyes darkened, jaw tightening, shadows flickering across his face. "You think I don't feel it too?" he asked, his voice edged with hurt. She froze, the honesty in his words hitting her harder than anger. For the first time, she realized Malik wasn't just her storm. He was fighting his own demons, just as raw, just as consuming. Nia moved toward the dresser, her reflection fractured in the cracked mirror, each shard capturing a piece of her pain. "You make it sound so simple," she said, her voice low but trembling with fire. Malik's shadow loomed as he stepped closer, his presence swallowing hers. "It is simple," he said firmly, as if daring her to believe him. She spun, her eyes blazing, braids whipping across her shoulders. No, it's not. You don't carry my scars. You don't wake to echoes of someone's promises that turn to knives. The air quivered with her fury, each word slicing the fragile silence. Malik's jaw flexed, his tone dropping to a near growl. You don't carry mine either. His confession landed like thunder, heavy and startling. She faltered, lips parting as if the storm inside her stilled for a moment. Then why do we keep colliding? She whispered. Malik's eyes softened with fire. Because we can't stay away. The air pulsed, heavy and electric, as if fire waited to consume them both. Nia pressed her palms against the dresser, her breath shallow, her reflection trembling in broken glass. We'll destroy each other, she whispered, voice carrying both fear and truth. Malik closed the distance until his breath brushed her ear, his body heat cutting through the chill. Or we'll finally be whole, he countered, his tone like a vow and a warning. Nia's eyes fluttered shut, her chest rising sharply with the weight of memories, the betrayals, the loneliness, the empty nights. She turned, meeting his gaze, their faces only inches apart. You terrify me, she admitted, words spilling like a wound. Malik's lips curved faintly, but his eyes burned with unyielding intensity. Good, he said, low and raw. Because that means you feel this too. Her knees weakened, torn between stepping away or stepping closer, both choices terrifying. Nia shoved Malik back, her hands trembling against his chest. You don't know how dangerous this is, she said, her voice splintering with panic. Malik steadied himself, refusing to step away, his gaze unwavering. Dangerous doesn't scare me, he said, voice cracking at the edges. Losing you does. The words split her defenses like lightning, cutting the sky. Her shoulders sagged, her chest heaving, as silence swelled between them. She whispered, softer now, I don't trust you. His lips parted, his tone breaking, desperate but steady. Then let me earn it, Nia. Let me fight for what you want, admit you need. Outside, the storm rattled the windowpane, thunder vibrating the floorboards. The room, once her sanctuary, had become a battlefield of love and fear, each breath sharper than the last. Her breath ragged, Nia sank onto the edge of the bed, clutching her chest as if holding her ribs together. Malik remained standing, torn between reaching for her and letting her be. His voice cracked, raw with exhaustion. Nia, I don't want to fight you. She shook her head, tears streaming, eyes glossy with defiance. We're not fighting each other, Malik. We're fighting everything that wants us broken. Family, pride, ghosts of the past. He exhaled sharply, walking to the window, his palm flattening against the cold glass. Lightning flashed, illuminating the torment carved into his face. She whispered into the heavy silence. Then what happens when the storm ends? When we have nothing left but us? He turned, his gaze burning like fire in the dark. His voice broke into a vow. Then we decide if we survive it together or not at all. The air grew heavier as the storm waned, leaving a tense stillness. Nia sat rigid on the bed, sensing something unsaid pressing against Malik's silence. You're hiding something, she whispered, her voice shaking. Malik looked away, his jaw tight. It's not the time. Her heart slammed against her ribs, her chest tightening with dread. Don't decide that for me, she snapped, standing, her braids brushing her shoulders. His fists clenched at his sides, veins rising in his arms. If I tell you, it'll break us, he admitted, his voice raw. The words pierced deeper than a scream. Nia's breath caught, fury and fear colliding. We're already breaking, she said, her tone sharp, defiant. He finally met her gaze, his eyes heavy with regret. Then you deserve the truth, even if it burns. Malik's voice shook as he began, each word scraping his throat. The night you thought I disappeared, it wasn't what you believed. Nia's eyes narrowed, her breath quickening. You left me alone, she said, anger surging. He stepped closer, his hands trembling. I didn't walk away, Nia, I was forced. Her heart froze at the word, confusion flashing in her eyes. Forced by who? She demanded. Malik swallowed, his gaze breaking under the weight of memory. By the same people who said we'd never last, who told me you'd destroy me. Silence swallowed the room as her fury cracked into disbelief. Her voice faltered. You let them choose for you. He bowed his head, shame written in his stance. I thought I was protecting you. Nia's voice rose sharp as broken glass. Protect me? You destroyed me. She paced toward the window, her reflection trembling in rain-streaked glass. Malik followed but stopped short, his chest heaving. I thought staying would hurt you worse. They had power, Nia. They knew where to cut deepest. She spun, tears spilling, her braids swaying wildly. You didn't trust me to survive it with you. Her words cracked open every scar she carried. Malik's expression shattered, his voice breaking. I trusted you too much, that's why I left. If they came for me, I could take it. If they touched you, I'd burn the world. Nia's fury faltered, trembling with the weight of his confession, torn between rage and aching tenderness. The storm outside calmed, but inside, chaos burned brighter. Nia shook her head, her voice breaking. You made me believe I wasn't enough. That's worse than leaving. Malik's steps were heavy, but he closed the distance, eyes pleading. I thought losing me would free you. She staggered back, every word cutting deeper. Free me? You chain me to doubt, Malik, to nights of wondering why I was never enough. His hands trembled, hovering inches from her, afraid to touch. You were always enough, he whispered fiercely. It was me who wasn't. The admission cracked through her defenses, but pain still reigned. She whispered, her voice like shattered glass. Then why do I still feel abandoned every time I close my eyes? Nia collapsed back onto the bed, her body shaking with sobs she had buried for years. Malik sank to his knees before her, the weight of his secrets pressing them both into the storm's silence. His voice cracked, raw with regret. I should have stayed, no matter the cost. She stared at him, broken yet burning. You can't rewrite the past, she whispered. Malik lifted his gaze, his dark eyes fierce. Then let me fight for our present. Her breath shuddered, torn between hate and longing. The contract flashed in her mind, the promise of distance, of safety. Now, every word of it felt like a lie unraveling. She whispered, trembling, if I let you in again, I won't survive another betrayal. Malik reached for her hand but stopped, hovering in the space between choice and surrender. Nia's sobs slowed, but her chest still shook with each breath. Malik reached for her hand, this time not pulling back. She flinched but didn't move away. Why now? She demanded, her voice hoarse. Why break me twice? His grip tightened, his eyes blazing with a mix of guilt and hunger. Because I'd rather face your fury than live with silence. She yanked her hand free, standing as if the bed burned her. Silence was mercy, Malik. It was the only way I could breathe without you. He rose too, the space between them igniting. Then scream at me, curse me, hate me, he pleaded, his voice breaking. But don't shut me out. Her fury burst, hot and unrestrained. You don't get to decide how I survive you. The air grew electric, every word a spark. Malik stepped closer, his voice low and fierce. I never stopped loving you. Nia recoiled as if struck, her breath jagged. Don't you dare use love as a weapon, she spat. His eyes narrowed, anger rising through grief. It's not a weapon. It's the only truth I've got left. She backed against the dresser, her reflection fractured once more in the broken mirror. Your truth comes too late, she hissed, tears streaking her face. Malik's chest heaved, as thunder rumbled faintly outside. Then make me pay for it, he said, his tone raw. But don't say I didn't love you. The words cut deeper than betrayal itself, because she knew they were true. Nia shoved Malik hard, her palms slamming against his chest. Love doesn't abandon. Love doesn't leave me choking on emptiness. He staggered back but didn't fight her push. His voice cracked, harsh with pain. I left because I thought I'd destroy you. She screamed, her voice splitting through the night. You did. The sound echoed against the walls, louder than the storm outside. Malik's face contorted, a war between rage and despair. "Then hate me," he demanded, stepping closer again. Her knees buckled, but her spirit roared. "I hate you," she cried, even as her body trembled, betraying her truth. The silence that followed was unbearable, filled with both fury and longing. Her chest heaved, tears spilling uncontrollably. Malik moved closer, lowering his voice to a near whisper. "Hate me if you must, but don't deny you still feel it." Nia's hands shook as she pressed them against her face, muffling a sob. "You make me feel like I'm drowning," she said, her voice trembling. He reached out, fingertips brushing her wrist. "Then let me be the one to pull you out." She dropped her hands, her eyes burning with pain and desire. "You don't get it, Malik. If I fall again, there's no coming back." His gaze softened, his voice steady. "Then fall with me. I'll catch you." She shook her head, but her body leaned closer, betraying every word her mouth tried to form. The storm outside faded to silence, but inside, thunder still cracked between them. Nia's body sagged, exhausted from fighting. She whispered, "I don't know if I can forgive you." Malik stepped closer, his voice trembling but fierce. "Then don't forgive me. Just stay." Her heart stuttered at the plea, her tears blurring him. "You don't deserve me," she whispered, her voice raw. He nodded, eyes glistening. "You're right, but I'll spend every breath trying anyway." The air vibrated with their confessions, the space between them alive with everything unsaid. She stood frozen, torn between stepping into his arms or locking the door forever. For the first time, both choices terrified her equally. The storm had passed, leaving a hollow quiet that felt louder than thunder. Nia sat curled on the edge of the bed, her body trembling with exhaustion. Malik remained standing, his chest rising and falling like waves against stone. "We can't keep doing this," she whispered, her voice barely audible. He swallowed hard, his eyes heavy with regret. "Then tell me how to stop wanting you." Her heart twisted, torn between relief and sorrow. "Wanting me isn't the same as loving me," she said, forcing herself to meet his gaze. Malik shook his head, his voice breaking. "But it's all I know, Nia. I've never wanted anything more." The words settled over her like a weight, not comfort but a burden she wasn't sure she could carry. Nia lifted her face, the tears drying into tight salt on her skin. "I can't live in the shadow of what you didn't choose," she said firmly, though her voice cracked. Malik stepped closer, reaching but stopping just short. "I chose wrong," he admitted. "But I'm here now, fighting to make it right." She shook her head slowly, braids brushing her shoulders. "The damage doesn't vanish because you regret it." His eyes burned with desperation. "Then let me carry the damage with you." She laughed bitterly, a sound that broke more than it mocked. "You can't carry what's already buried inside me." Silence thickened, both of them bound by love that felt more like chains than freedom. The night air cooled, drifting through the half-open window. Nia stood, her bare feet silent against the floor, as if she were already leaving. Malik's voice caught. "Please, don't walk away." She froze, shoulders trembling, but didn't turn. "Every time I stayed, I lost a piece of myself," she whispered, her back to him. He moved closer, his shadow swallowing hers on the floor. "Then let me give those pieces back," he pleaded, his voice breaking. She turned halfway, eyes red, lips trembling. "You can't give back what you never protected." His face fell, the truth striking deeper than any blade. She lowered her gaze, her strength bending under the weight of words she never wanted to say aloud. Nia gripped the curtain, her body trembling as though the storm still raged inside her. Malik's voice softened, almost a whisper. "You're all I have, Nia. Without you, none of this makes sense." Her lips pressed together, anger and longing colliding like clashing waves. "And with me?" she asked bitterly. "With me you drown." He shook his head, taking another step closer. "With you, I finally learn how to breathe." Her throat tightened, her defenses faltering against the raw honesty in his words. "I don't know if I can forgive you," she admitted, her voice thin and shaking. Malik's reply came quick, fierce. "Then let me stay unforgiven, but still beside you." The silence stretched, thick and fragile, as though the entire room waited on Nia's breath. She turned, her face streaked with dried tears, her voice hollow. "If I let you stay, you'll break me again." Malik's chest rose sharply, his eyes glistening. "Then I'll break too. I'll break with you." Her heart clenched, her legs weak, but her pride still stood like stone. She whispered, "That's not love, Malik. That's survival." He moved closer until only a breath separated them. "Then let's survive together, even if it kills us," he murmured, his voice trembling. For a fleeting moment, she saw not the man who left, but the man who once held her through nightmares. Her lips parted, but no words came. The storm was gone, leaving the air still, heavy, and unkind. Nia stood near the window, her silhouette etched in silver moonlight. "Do you realize what you've taken from me?" she whispered, her voice raw. Malik stayed behind her, his shadow stretching long across the floor. "I know," he admitted, his voice trembling. "And I can't give it back." She turned slowly, her braids brushing her damp cheeks. "Then why are you still here?" Malik's chest rose sharply, his eyes holding both defiance and surrender. "Because I can't let go, even if it kills me." Her heart cracked again, not from anger this time, but from the unbearable truth of needing what had already broken her. Nia faced him fully now, her eyes swollen, her voice stripped of fire. "You don't deserve me," she said, each word trembling but steady. Malik nodded slowly, his eyes glistening. "I know, but I'll keep choosing you, even if you never choose me again." Her breath faltered, the weight of his vow pressing down. "Love shouldn't feel like punishment," she said, stepping closer but not touching him. Malik's lips quivered, his voice rough. "No, love should feel like survival, and you are the only reason I breathe." Her tears slipped again, but her spine stayed firm. "Breathing isn't enough, Malik. I need more than survival." The words sliced, final and irreversible. Silence thickened, their breaths the only sound. Nia stepped past him, her bare feet soft against the wooden floor. Malik turned, his voice breaking. "Don't leave me in this silence." She paused at the door, her back to him, shoulders trembling. "This silence is the only place I can hear myself." His body sagged as if her words drained all strength from him. He whispered, "I don't know who I am without you." She closed her eyes, her hand tightening on the doorknob. "Then maybe that's why we'll never work. Because I'm not supposed to be the thing that keeps you alive." The truth echoed sharper than thunder ever could. Nia opened the door, cool night air rushing in like a final verdict. Malik's voice rose, desperate. "If you walk out now, I'll never stop waiting for you." She froze, her throat tight, tears stinging again. "And if I stay," she whispered. He stepped forward, every muscle shaking. "Then I'll never let you go again." The words cut deep, not as a promise, but as a plea. Her chest heaved, her entire body torn between surrender and escape. She turned her head slightly, her voice breaking. "I can't live inside your vow. I need to live inside myself." The doorway glowed pale with moonlight, the choice heavy as stone in her hands. For a long breath, Nia stood there, her hand clutching the frame, her body trembling. She whispered one final truth, her voice soft but piercing. "I'll always remember the way you held me, even when you weren't supposed to. But remembering isn't enough." She stepped out into the night, leaving Malik in the hollow silence of the room. His body folded forward, hands gripping his knees as if the air had been ripped away. The door clicked shut behind her, quiet as a grave. The room was still, except for Malik's shallow breathing. The final silence stretched, haunting, unrelenting. Somewhere in the dark love had burned, but only ashes remained.